Welcome everyone just arriving. We're here today for the set webinar, Empowering the Dual Professional Workforce with Dr. Barbara van der Ecken. And we'll just let everybody arrive and then we'll get started. Please do put in the chat your name, where you're from, and say hello.
Really good to be here today with you all. I can see there's still people coming in just now, Jill, so.
Yeah. So if you're just arriving, you're here today for today's set webinar, Empowering the Dual Professional Workforce with Dr. Barbara van der Ecken. And one of these times I will speak without getting tongue-tied on a title, Barbara.
Absolutely fine.
Please do pop in the chat your name and your organisation, where you're from, and say hello. Love to see where everybody's from today.
I can see some being added already. Hi, Abby. Hi, Beth. Hi, Christine. And Abby and Mel. And Farah, Sarah, Sian. Great. Lots of people already there. Shall we make a start?
Yep, so we're here today for the Empowering the Dual Professional Workforce with our lovely Dr. Barbara van der Ecken. Hand over to you, Barbara.
A really warm welcome to everyone. I'm Barbara van der Ecken. I've been working in the sector for over 30 years in different guises, from practitioner to manager to senior leader, and now as a consultant in the sector. Really pleased to be here. Professionalism is absolutely at the heart of everything that I do, and so I hope today, having done two webinars already, one for practitioners, one for quality leaders, that today's Empowering the Dual Professional Workforce from the lens of leadership will also be really useful for you, whether you are wherever you are in your career, either starting or already a senior leader. Hopefully you'll get something positive out of today. So lots of information, lots of reflection, lots of actions, hopefully to take away as well. So I just want to highlight how we're going to work. So we're trying to make this as informative and informal as possible, interactive as well. We'll be using the chats, we'll be using Menti, we'll be using reactions. So get ready to use your thumbs and hearts as we're talking. We're obviously wanting to be reflective, but also maybe if you're old-fashioned like me, a piece of paper and a pen on the side, and write some of the actions or things you want to take away from today's session and share with your teams or colleagues. We also want to really make sure that we are respectful, professional. This is a real collaborative space. Read the chats, add your comments, because if you're not learning from me today, you might learn something new from people adding things to the chat. So and you'll have definitely expanded your network. So all that is really positive as leaders. So new practice, consolidating your existing practice. Hopefully there's something in here for absolutely everyone. So without further ado, let's get us thinking about what we're going to cover in the webinar, and also get us thinking about professionalism. And there's a fantastic quote from Vicky Smith from the ETF, actually, saying professionalism is more than technical competence. It's a combination of knowledge, values, behaviours, commitments that really underpin that excellence in any field, but definitely in FE and skills. So today we'll be looking at 4 different aspects, really. We're going to look at how your leadership behaviours are going to influence your professional culture in your organisation. We'll use the ETF Professional Standards and think about CPD. Does it align with your business goal? Does it lead through to trust? We're going to explore some different ways to shift from compliance led to actually growth oriented leadership, and then really think about those levers that you have at your disposal to really support that staff professionalism. So you could see plenty here. You will get the slides after the session because there are a few tables that have got lots of information. So you'll get the slides afterwards, and that hopefully you can use for further conversations within your teams. So let's get thinking about professionalism and think of when dual professionalism makes a real tangible difference to your learner journey in your organization. What makes that possible? And if you would, we started using the chats. Let's really start in earnest now. Add to the chats maybe one or two things that really in your organization stem from that dual professionalism, that importance that you're putting on your educators. What difference does it make? So I'm going to just give you a second or two to think about what your learners gained from it and see what comes up in the chats. Jill, I know you'll help me if I can't read them all. I am trying to multitask.
Nothing's come through just yet. Oh, here we go. Empowerment.
That's it. Empowerment. That's fabulous.
We've got best possible learning experience, expert advice, better outcomes, best possible learning experience, expertise in modelling practice in RWE, and understanding of people who have been
RWE, real world environment. Just saying.
Thank you. I did wonder. Higher aspirations, learner growth, lots of things, aids in employability readiness.
Perfect.
Expertise.
So many things. You know, the fact that you have dual professionals in your organization are clearly, through all of the things that you're saying there, the higher aspirations, that linking it to the context of the learner, all of the better outcomes at the end of it are all making that difference, and that is absolutely critical for us to keep in mind as we go through the webinar. We are not doing, we know it makes a difference. Now, as leaders, what can we do to really ensure that actually the whole of our organization, that whole culture actually supports that dual professionalism? So we know the power of dual professionalism. We know that subject expertise and that pedagogical expertise that we have are really going to have a true impact on the learners. It's going to create some transformative experiences and relevant learning for sure. So there's no two ways about it. We are in a field of education and learning, and we need to make sure that actually what we do for our learners, we do that for our teachers, our staff, our coaches, our trainers, our practitioners. I think I use practitioners today because I know there are people from ITPs, colleges, etc. So if I use the word practitioner, I think that will cover everything. We want them to be great at that pedagogical side, but we definitely want them to also be occupational experts so they can have that impact. So currently in your organization, and again, we're going to be using the chats, where does dual professionalism live? Does it live just in policy? Are you seeing it in practice? Are you seeing it in the culture? So if you just add maybe again a little example in the chat. So if it is in there in culture, give me an example so we can read some of that as well and share with others. Natalie, thank you. In all of them, starts with policy, seeing it in practice and created that culture. That's really good to see. Fabulous. Just waiting for a few more to come up. So, nor you seeing it in practice in the way people do problem solving. That's fabulous. Andrea, not sure you actually can see that word in the policy potentially, but you're seeing it in practice. Thank you. You're really looking for staff with that core subject knowledge and sector knowledge as well. Sarah, absolutely love to see that it lives and breathes through the culture. Fabulous. And hopefully you can share some more as we go through. Jenny, only in the teaching practice at the moment, not yet fully embedded within the college culture. Something that we can definitely work on. And hopefully today's will give you some more ammunition to really push that as leaders. Thank you so much. That's really useful. And I think it's helping us to set the scene. But it'd be really a shame not to mention, as leaders, a few weeks ago, we've had the release of the Ofsted inspection, the new toolkit. And actually, I think it can be our ally. It can really help us to leverage what we want to do, because it has really put that professional learning and expertise at the heart of everything that we do. And I think that's really important as you, as leaders, with your governors, are going to be looking at that secure fit for the different gradings. You're going to be looking at those probably for a little while to make sure that you can definitely demonstrate this. So seeing in the Ofsted framework, in the Ofsted toolkit, that leaders establish that culture of continuous improvement, seeing that leaders provide that effective support and development for staff, especially those who are new to teaching, but also the progression, you know, if they want to become advanced practitioners, if they are aspiring leaders, etc. How do you demonstrate that? Really constantly improving their expertise and maintain a high level of vocational and technical knowledge. How important is that? And great to see it in the Ofsted toolkit. It was already there before, but it's definitely come more to the fore. Again, talking about being able to, staff are able to meet the demands of each subject and specialist curriculum. Think of how you utilize your staff sometimes. I know in some organisation, people have got to teach in areas that are not necessarily their own specialism. I'm thinking, you know, math teachers, for instance, could come from different background, engineering, etc. Are we giving them the right support, etc. So think about all your staff, and are they actually within their specialism? How up to date are they with it, and how do you know? Again, do you know that all of your staff have got the right, know the right strategies to actually support all of our learners? And again, that participation and development of learners and apprentices in terms of fulfilling their expectations through really strong teaching and learning. So there's plenty in there for you to use as you continue with your conversations within your teams. The other recent paper, obviously the Education and Skills White Paper that was published in October, also really highlights some of those key aspects in terms of reminding us that we are here to develop the workforce of tomorrow. And to do that, we really need a skilled, highly skilled FE and skills sector. So we need to have real strong recruitment and retention, CPD pathways, working with some of the technical excellence colleges, and that's something to remember, where you can really share that best practice and share that CPD across the different regions potentially. So there's plenty in those documents that highlight the need for that CPD, that professionalism, that dual professionalism. And if it isn't, I think some of you said it's probably there in practice, but not necessarily in some of your policies or documentation. Start to think about how you can actually weave in some of these new aspects that have come, you know, come to us very recently, and that you can use as leverage to improve. I wanted to show this, and I showed it when we did the quality one as well, because I think it's really important for us to really think about that picture of what happens when you have alignment between your purpose, your people, and your practice. In the center, you get the right conditions in which dual professionalism can really flourish. It means that everyone can thrive. Your practitioners can practice their craft truly in line with the vision and the purpose of your organization. They know it's going to have in practice the impact on the learners. And so that's really, really important to consider at that higher level. When you consider, if I start with that purpose section, having that clear strategic direction in terms of dual professionalism. So if you're not sure whether it sits there in this year's business plan, in this year's organizational strategic activities, go and have a look. Is it there? Is there a clear direction to enhance that dual professionalism? If we consider the people side, how will you enable your people, your practitioners, to align their occupational expertise and pedagogical goals with the purpose of the company? How is it all aligned? Do they understand that actually they are the carriers of that dual professionalism? And in practice, it means that in your day-to-day activities, you're going to be observing it all the time. You're going to see that excellent delivery, that strong collaboration. You're going to see effective processes and methods that allow you to have that consistent approach to teaching, learning, and assessment. So I think really important to keep that in mind when we were talking earlier about where does it sit. It sits in all of this. So we're going to consider now, how do we make that happen? How do we ensure that it's in everything that we talk about? I'm going to take just a minute to step back for just 1 second in terms of the research that's been done about it. And there's a lot of research, you will know, as leaders. You might lead teams of practitioners. You know that you've got to support that teacher agency. And Martin James Hoskin has done a really recent research, and it's a great paper that is really worth reading, and again supporting and referencing with lots of he's looked at so many different research, and again you'll have this with the slides. The bit that I wanted to highlight from this section is that the most transformative outcome occur when teachers are granted autonomy, and that collaboration between teachers and leaders is absolutely key to sustaining development initiatives beyond the lifespan of a program. So as leaders, we look at CPD. There's a lot of individual activities. As leaders, we need to go beyond that. What can we do so that you can have that sustained participation, that embedding it into the culture and really creating those communities of practice where they have the agency, the autonomy to really keep on learning from one another, looking at what's happening outside and reimagining their practice. I see that in some colleges that I work with, done so nicely. They've got action learning sets, they've got marketplace, you see days where it's happening. So it's not something that's done just ad hoc, it's a real planned set of activities that actually are owned by the practitioners and absolutely sponsored by the leaders. And that is great to see. So giving our practitioners that agency is absolutely going to be key to what you do, if you're not doing it already, to actually support that. And it's going to play a massive part in their self-development, their self-renewal, You know, it's you need to be resilient all of the time. So you're going to see people with more initiative. They're going to be more aware of their capabilities. They're going to set their own goals. So you'll soon see the impact of it. So that is going to be your focus. And I want to remind you, if you're not using the professional standards yet, the ETF Professional Standards, they were initially created in 2014, renewed in 2022 for teachers and trainers, practitioners. They have since then also created them for aspiring leaders, middle leaders, and senior leaders. What I wanted to highlight, best practice in the country in FE and skills for middle leaders. Look at that one here, that standard for you that says you've got to be an advocate of inspirational teaching and make sure that it has that positive impact on learners. Make sure that you are forward thinking and innovative in adapting strategies to facilitate the delivery of high quality learning environment. And I've picked some of the other ones. So it is absolutely part of your role to make that happen. Senior leaders, again, in your values, you will have enable inspirational teaching that has a positive impact on learners. Motivate, inspire, and support staff to achieve organizational goals. Speaks of that hexagon that we were talking about earlier. You know, when it all comes together, what people do on the ground really supports that purpose. So it is absolutely part of your role to make sure that that professionalism, that professional culture happens on the ground. And so today is really that reminder that that professional culture is not just a checklist. It needs to be a culture. And from what we've just seen, it's going to be co-created. And you know that it's going to have an impact on, I put self as your practitioners and themselves, but actually for you as a leader as well, it will have that. You need to role model it for yourself as a new leader, as a middle leader. Are you talking about what you're doing to be the best you can be as a leader? Are you role modeling that? The impact you'll have on teams, on your organization and your learners. So know your impact for sure. And we can only know our impact if we're really intentional in our approach. So when I was talking earlier about the professional standards, the beauty of it is the possibility to use the self-assessment for our practitioners in our company, in our organization. So you can use that. It's free, it's online. All of you don't need to be a corporate member of ETF to do that. Everyone can access it. You can do your self-assessment, you can see what it looks like for your organization, and you can start to really co-create those individual CPD plans. Obviously, because you can do that individually, you can push your practitioners to do it. You can look at their progression pathways and really make sure they've got strong PDPs, checking that it really does include the two sides, that pedagogical side and that subject industry side as well. Make sure when you look at your CPD plans, go and talk to your people teams and your managers. Can I see that everyone in my organization has got CPD that aligns both to the teaching and learning side, but also to that subject industry and that vocational side? Then you can start to create that a development plan for your organization, because you'll have that at local level. You can then do it at team level. You can do that at organizational level. And then you can work together on how best to deliver it and how you can monitor the progress. So you need to be really, really intentional about this. And I'm going to just give you a few more examples on how you can do that. So here are some budgets are tight, very, very tight, I know. So there's sometimes not the possibility to go externally to get a lot of the training. There's a lot you can do internally. There's a lot you can explore together. There's a lot on the ETF and the SET website to support you here. I'll pick one, for instance, curriculum and intent planning. You can look at, we want to increase the expertise of our teams. What is it that we want to do? We might want to co-design it with a few employers from around the our region and really work on that so that you're actually using the pedagogical side and aligning it directly to the industry side. There's plenty that you can do, and as I said, I'm going to share this with you afterwards. Again, that intentional approach for industry expertise is going to be useful to look at. You know, if are you making the most out of professional networks and bodies, for instance? A lot of them are free. You can join associations, your teams can join association, attend networking events, contribute to forums. You can also shadow professionals. If you've got apprenticeship teams, they can tap into great employers. They've also got a lot of current knowledge. Are you making sure that, you know, teachers potentially in other areas are talking to your apprenticeship coaches who go and see employers and share that best practice? So there is plenty that you need to do, but you need to do it in a really intentional way so you can showcase that you've listened, you can see where your teams are currently, what is needed, and how you've then created some CPD plans that align to that. So if you see the gaps are more within the industry expertise, what is it that you're going to put in place for that? If it's more around the teaching and training, what is it that you need to do? And you might have different ones for your new teachers who might actually be great at industry expertise, but they might need more support in terms of that pedagogical side. Or you might have people who've been in the college in your organisation for a long time, are great at teaching and facilitating, but actually have lost touch a little bit with the industry. Does that make sense so far? Can I see some thumbs up if it makes sense, if it's giving you ideas so far? Perfect, that's great. Thank you very much. So you will have the slides afterwards. So hopefully that will be really useful for you to just consider as a team, as a leadership team, what is it that we're doing? Talk to, it depends who does it in certain organization. Your HR people team are in charge of monitoring the CPD side. Sometimes it's at more local level, team level, sometimes it's owned by the quality team. So make sure as leaders that you talk to the different ones and make sure that everyone talks really, because they might have sight of opportunities that maybe you've not thought of either. That's the power of co-creating with others within your organization. So looking at, again, as I said, that intentional approach and aligning that purpose, people, and practice, we really want to shift away, as we've said, from compliance ticking box to really have a trying to think about that growth that we want to see. We want to move from quality assurance to quality development. We want to see leaders who really invest in people so that you can sustain that quality and those strong outcomes over time. You want to also check that your quality teams, and I sometimes did that. I was so focused on my quality improvement plan, looking at what was wrong, what wasn't working, that actually I was forgetting about all the things that were already really good and that I could take to the next level. So we want to make sure that we're surfacing problems, obviously, but we also want to make sure that we're clear about where we are doing well already, where we want to maintain and actually move to excellent. If you're always looking at where issues are, you're never going to get above where you are now. You need to really push where you are now to that next level as well. So don't forget to look at that. So thinking about that cycle of activity, oh gosh, do we love that cycle of activity, and all of the things that we do every year as leader, looking at your SAR, your QIP, your business plan, all of that. Could you say that dual professional is visible in most of those activities? Do you talk about dual professionalism when you're talking about the due diligence and the activities you're doing with your subcontractors? Do you talk about it in your curriculum development, for instance, and check that everything is actually showcasing that both that teaching side but also that industry context? Is it everywhere? So I'm asking you that question, and again, please use the chat. It'd be great to have that. Where is it visible? Think of that cycle of activity that you do in a year as a leader. Where is it really visible? And what sort of evidence do you collect? What data do you collect to showcase that dual professionalism? Or what stories do you collate to showcase that real qualitative evidence that it's making a difference? So I'm just going to give you a few minutes just to think about that. And I'll just open the chats on my screen here so I can read your comments. Is it in your SAR? Is it in your QUIP? Have you got KPIs for both? Do you talk about it in your governance reports? Do you see both in your CPD plans? Let's see what you're saying. I'm not seeing anything yet. I'm assuming you're typing. I'm asking you a big question there around where is it visible and what data or what stories, what evidence are you collating? Is it more qualitative? Is it more quantitative? Or is it just a hunch at the moment and you need to become more intentional?
I think you might have stumped them, Barbara.
I know, plenty of you on the call, so I hope it's because they're typing away. See, there we go. The longer answers, so they take a little bit longer. So we see it, Andrea, in the SAR, in the course reviews, but definitely need to be more intentional about it. So again, use your quality cycle in your quality strategy and really have a think about where can we make it more visible? Where is it is it easy to make it visible? And then in some areas you might find actually that's going to be a bit trickier. Let's get the right people around the table to see what can be done. Case studies in your QUIP, but could be more visible. Thank you. Quality in the quality assurance activities, you see it there, but maybe not in some of the other aspects. Oh, I thought I'd just seen another one and now I can't see it. So I think maybe you are just pondering, maybe you're looking at it and thinking, oh, I wonder if it is. Maybe you're all checking at the moment as I'm talking and writing lots of notes. Who knows? Or maybe it doesn't speak to you. So I'll move on to the next slide. What about that? So really important to think about it, to be intentional. And as I always do, as I talk, I'm a governor, I sit on many boards, I'm also a coach. And one of the things that sometimes is needed before people take action is actually to reflect on what is the risk of not taking action, the risk of inaction. So actually, what are the risks of not focusing on developing dual professionalism in all of those areas that we talked about? And generally, these are questions that if you are sitting around the the top table with your governors, have a chat about this. Have a chat about it in your teams. If you're a middle manager, what would a year look like if you didn't invest in that dual professionalism? What would it mean for your learners? And I'm thinking, what would it mean if for a whole year your A-level teachers have got no access to actually the industry that they represent or where their learners need to go? What would happen? Learners would probably not have the currency. They might not feel confident to then move on to the next stage, which could be university, could be an apprenticeship, could be into jobs. They might not feel confident in that. Your teachers won't feel confident that they are current. That's what could happen if you don't invest for a whole year. And I'm sure you'll think about it for your own organisation and your own teams. What would it look like? Can we afford that? It could be a lack of actual the reputation could go right down. in a sense, if you're not investing in it, because your learners might not get the outcomes that you expect. Learners say, oh, I've come from that college, but actually they never taught me this. What they were doing was not in line with what we're doing in industry. So that reputation could be affected and your employer relationship could be affected. So there are definitely risks. Where in your provision would occupational currency deteriorate fastest if we do nothing? So again, I'm thinking some of the sectors that you work in will definitely need to be absolutely occupied, have that competency. I mean, maybe if you do something like history, maybe if you do some of the topics that change less. I mean, I used to do languages and I always thought, well, language don't change so quickly. Although nowadays, I would probably say actually there's lots of changes happening in languages and translation, in AI being used, in things. So again, if I want my learners to absolutely be top of their game, I think nearly every provision would deteriorate very quickly if we do nothing. And then that last questions we talked about Ofsted earlier. Actually, if inspectors and governors asked, and they will ask because it's all about secure fit now with Ofsted. So, and they ask you, okay, how do you maintain industry relevance and adaptive teaching, for instance? What evidence have you got in place now? What could you present currently, and what would you be missing? Quite a key question, isn't it? Do they resonate with you, those questions? Are they questions you think you can use with your teams, with your boards? Again, give me a thumbs up if you think these are, and there'll be lots of other risks that you can think of, you know. They could be, you'll think, because all your organization are so different, but think about what if we don't do anything, what could happen? And don't be afraid of actually talking in that way. You know, we need to do this, we need to do that. Actually, what happens if we don't do that, and highlight those risks? So it's good to see some thumbs up, and I can see there's more in the chat, more people adding to the
Yeah,
chat.
so Andrea's saying that they're really great questions for reflection, and she's interested in how others are evidencing this. So if anybody's got any answers to Andrea, do please pop them in the chat. And then Sarah said we deliver a lot where legislation changes regularly, such as healthcare. So
absolutely. And you could find out that actually you've got either curriculum that's not up to date, you've got learners who, you know, in their apprentices in their workplace who can't actually do what they need to do because you haven't, you know, given them the right information. IT and engineering, again, rapidly evolving. So fourth industrial revolution, absolutely, Mark. So you need to have that. So are you giving your practitioners what they need to be, you know, to be on top of their game, and have that dual side? You want them to be great experts in their subject, and you want them to be absolutely excellent in how they deliver it. So again, that will be in the slides. Risks of inaction here. You could have, and again, great to use as leaders. I'm trying to give you lots of ammunition as well to convince people, which could open the purse for CPD budget. Who knows? Otherwise, just even create that space where you can do all of that. But you know, you can have that decline in learning outcome and progression because they're not up to date. That could lead to funding penalties, to clawback, to reduced enrolment in the longer term. If your curriculum is not up to date, your employers won't be happy. You might lose employer contract who are not going to come back to work with you because what you're delivering is not up to date. You know, so there's a lot to think about. So and clear actions and things that you can do about it as well. So be intentional, think about the risk of inaction, and then really start planning what you are going to put in place. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to start looking at how we can then further measure that impact. So again, you've got that evidence that what you are doing is making a difference, because when you're telling board, give me some money, because I want to invest in this, or even not money. Give me time, give me 2 hours a week for my practitioners so they can create those activities. They're going to say, how are you going to show me that it's making a difference? For sure, they're going to say that. So think about how you're going to measure that impact. So to showcase that actually all your teachers are high impact teachers, they want to be there in the green. You want them to be skilled facilitators, of course, and subject expert, but really you want them to be here in that quadrant. So what could we do to measure the impact on learners, apprentices? I'm thinking you could showcase that they're progressing well, that they're really engaged, that they're feeding back that they are ready for industry, that they are more autonomous and have got agency. So you could showcase all of that, and you'll be thinking about other things. You know, the feedback is showing you, think about what you can use to showcase that. If you've got ideas about how you can do that or how you are already doing that, please share that in the chats as well. As you can see, people are adding and reading in the chats as well. How do you showcase your practitioners, teachers and coaches are really feeling the impact of that culture that's being embedded around professionalism? So you should see very quickly their confidence growing. You should see in observations that they are showcasing improved pedagogical skills, that they are giving examples of what's happening in industry that are really current. You might start to see some of those communities of practice or reflective practice happening, and that sort of agency being seen. Employers and industry partners, again, what you're going to see, what you're going to demonstrate, they might be more engaged because you've asked them to come in to maybe co-design some curriculum with you. They might give you some really positive feedback. They may actually approach you to, you know, with new employees they have, because they know that they're going to get the best possible delivery with you, and high levels of satisfactions from your employers. And then communities and wider stakeholders, because actually the ripple effect of your professionalism don't stop at your organization. It's going to help with that improved reputation that we said before. It's going to, because you're engaging with more employers, potentially you're going to have better community engagement, more sector influence, because you might be seen as trailblazers in the area because you're trying something different. I'm working with colleges where they're doing things in terms of teaching and learning that are completely new, and you know, they are talking out there, they are being seen as the beacon of best practice. If you are one of the techs, the new colleges, the new techs, you want to showcase that you're having that impact, and that you are fostering that sort of professionalism and inclusion where people thrive, etc. So I think there's many ways to think about this. So hopefully your mind is going in all directions at the moment in terms of how can I showcase, how do I measure it, where do I measure it? You need to measure it in your quip, you might need to measure it as you do a report. What are the milestones that you might want to see throughout the year? I'm just going to have a little look at thank you in the chat. Skills shortage areas necessary for industry currency but hard to release staff, which is really tricky, and you'll see in a minute we've had feedback from the practitioners in the first webinar as well about what you can do as leaders to support them. So keep thinking about how you can measure the impact. You know, you're going to see in curriculum and pedagogy, you're definitely going to see that. You're going to see strong intent, strong sequencing, relevance, innovation. You're going to see all of that in there as you do your checks. In terms of your leadership and governance, think of the purpose, that alignment that you see. You're going to see that strategic alignment. You're going to see that CPD investment. You're going to see that quality culture. You're going to see that they are creating that space for sustained professionalism. Quality systems, I think we don't need to talk about that, but you're going to definitely monitor the impact of that. You're going to see those feedback loops, you're going to see evaluation. There's lots of things that you're going to see there. And college culture should improve in terms of more co-creation, more collaboration, more staff development, more that ethos of commitment to dual professionalism is always good to see as well. And as per the other ones, you will also receive some other ideas that I've had in terms of some of that quantitative data that you can track. Are they in your KPIs or in your OKRs, however you call them? Are they there? Have you got some of those? But also that qualitative data, it's really difficult sometimes to just read the story behind a number. So I would definitely encourage you to have both sides for all of them. So just have a really good think about how you're measuring that impact, how you're going to talk about it. And we're getting to this last part. And there's a Menti in a minute, so if you can get your phone ready so that we can you can scan the code in a minute. But I said a minute ago that actually we want to support our staff as leaders. That's actually not just we want to, it's part of your role, as we saw it in the professional standards. What they told us in the first one is that things that get in their way, the barriers to professionalism, were things like time constraints. They haven't got time. They've got lots of deadlines. They've got high caseloads. There's lots of different things. So time constraints was definitely one. How can you as leaders support them in finding the time? And why I'm asking you to think about how you're measuring the impact is I always say we treasure what we measure. So if you treasuring dual professionalism because you can see how important it is, somehow you're going to start finding ways to actually treasuring it, which means you're going to find time to do it. Because if you feel empowered to do what you feel you need for your development and your leaders are behind you to do it, why wouldn't you do it? Some of them I said that they were not getting enough feedback about how to improve. So again, use your team leaders, your quality team, your networks, your people teams to actually help them to understand how they can improve and what opportunities there are, because they might not be clear about it. Some are unclear about expectations, and some of the goals were not clear. And again, that could come when some of you have said that your professionalism is not clear within your strategy or within your purpose. That means people on the ground actually don't know what's expected of them. Are they expected to shadow? Are they given the autonomy to go out and do things? Do they need to ask how to ask, etc.? So make sure those expectations are really clear. Some of them said they were actually isolated, and it is quite tricky and I know I found that myself a long time ago when I was the only French teacher in my organization, sometimes working in 3 different organizations and being the only one. You're isolating. How do I support my own development when actually it's not available within my own organization? So how can you support those collaboration opportunities? As leaders, look for where you can tap into other colleges, other partnerships you have, those employers, etc. So again, see what you can do. And that limited engagement. Some of the colleges, probably more than ITPs. ITPs seem to be more linked to some of the industry and employers, but actually in some of the colleges and some of the teams, there isn't that clear link with industry. So how can we support them with that? So does that resonate with you and what you hear on the ground from your practitioners? Again, if you can give me a bit of a thumbs up, does it resonate with what you see on the ground? I think there were about, I can't remember exactly, Jill, there was about 80 something on the first one. So I think it was, a nice representative sample. So again, you will have this. This is come from actually all of the barriers that they noted the impact that it had, and then some of the strategies that you can actually put in place to really support your workforce and make them real dual professionals. So if the barriers are from that pedagogical side, what is it that you can do? If the barriers came from the industry side, here are some more ideas as to what you can do in terms of mitigation. And if you look down that mitigation strategy column, many of them actually don't cost any money. It is just usually a matter of time or a matter of telling people, yes, you can go and do that. And yes, you are empowered to doing it. Not only we want you to do that, but we want you to come back and actually share this with your peers and share how you've done it, and come to the marketplace and showcase how you've done that. So start to really think about that culture. I did promise that there was a mentee here. We've got 10 minutes, so I think we're just fine. So if you can start working, clicking on the mentee, there are 2 questions. And again, as leaders, we've got to really consider building a business case for what we want to do and where you want to go next. So you are where you are now, you want to improve, you want to make things even better for your team. So there are 2 questions. One is, which one would you say would sway your board, your top leaders in your organization if you were to build a case for it? So that's your first questions, and you've got some of those. If you can't get to Menti, just put it in the chats. What is it that would really make a difference? If you said, if we do that, it's definitely going to improve learner outcomes. You might know you're not very great at learner outcomes, so talking about that will make a difference. If you do an inspection, it could be that you're going to use that inspection readiness. That's how, as senior leaders, we are going to influence our board, influence the decision makers in making sure that things happen. The second question is really how you're going to showcase that return on investment. So which sort of evidence in what we've talked about, which sort of evidence would actually persuade your board to actually invest in it? Is it, well, there's lots of different things. You'll see this. I think there's a
Yeah,
sort
there's
of
you've got like,
possibility looking up
yeah,
to.
costed business case showing net savings, improved learner achievement and destination data, and there's a few others. Do you want me to
Perfect.
start sharing what the results are showing, Barbara?
Yes, please. If they're
So
coming in, please do so.
everyone seems to be agreeing in agreement that it's improved learner outcomes.
Yeah.
And then the other one is inspection readiness. That's been, but they're the only 2 that have been selected on the first question.
Yeah.
And on the second question, what type of evidence? The top one is improved learner achievement and destination data. So
Yeah.
that's that learner stuff. And staff survey showing increased capability and reduced churn. And none of the others
Absolutely.
have been selected. So everybody seems to be in
To be going for
agreement.
those.
Yeah.
And I think, putting the learner at the heart of everything that we do doesn't surprise me. So
Yeah.
actually building a real case study, showcasing that by doing all of that,
Yeah.
these are the ways in which the learners are going to benefit. So that's your way forward as you're presenting that business case. We want to change some of the CPD plans that we have, because actually looking at it again after this session, we realize there's not enough of this. This is how our learners are going to benefit. Absolutely. What was the other one? Sorry, you said was the other ones the progression and destination as well, wasn't it?
Um.
And the increased capability and
Yes.
reduced churn. Yeah.
Yes. So
So that's one that's really good, because you can showcase actually, especially in some of the sectors where it's difficult to recruit, that actually you're retaining your staff. It could be that actually makes it easier for you to recruit, because you can showcase all of the things that you're doing for your staff and they'll want to come and work for you. So thank you for that. Any more? Are we sticking to those 2? Has anything else come
no,
through?
those 2 on each of the questions. That's the only ones that have come through so far.
Perfect, thank you. So, an inspection readiness, of course, and you will have to think about that as leaders, because although we're not working for Ofsted, that Ofsted secure fit is definitely at the forefront of our mind. So, definitely there. So, strategic commitment after today. make sure you create that space for your teams to really start having those conversations, that reflection. What is it that we need? Create the space for that. It could be at the end of your normal meetings that are, business as usual operational. You might create a little bit of space at the end. Let's think about what else we could do to improve that professionalism, really continue to really showcase that what we want within our organization is that pedagogical excellence. Use the professional standards. See, ETF Professional Standards are absolutely fantastic for that. Be that advocate, build those business cases, talk about it with your board, present things, etc. Really think about all of those systems that you're creating. Are they designed to really support that professionalism? And then collate that evidence everywhere you go so you can really demonstrate the impact. The more you do, the more will happen. So, you've got to start somewhere. So as we sort of conclude, I just wanted you to maybe make one pledge and just think for 1 minute, and please share it in the chats if you can. It'd be absolutely fantastic. I've put a number of pledge here, and when I do coaching, we always end the session by sort of what is your commitment, what is your pledge for the next few weeks. And I just want you to think about one thing you're going to really try and do over the next 3 to 6 months to really make a difference within your organization. These are just examples. Please don't, you can copy them if you can't think of anything. But as a team, when you go back to your organization, just have a 1 or 2 line pledge. This is what we're going to do. People said, practitioners said, we don't have enough time. So it could be that you're just going to pledge that you're going to protect some time so that staff can have that workplace shadowing, for instance. It could be that you're going to be pairing subject experts, someone from your A-level team and someone from your apprenticeship team, whatever it is. A new teacher, you're going to pair them with someone who's, been there for a long time. So just think of something. I'm going to just be quiet for 1 minute so you can actually write that in the chats. I really look forward to reading what you're putting in there. Hopefully we'll have some responses. Keep it nice, short, just brief to what you're going to look at, or just what you're going to do when you're leaving today. Mini online, take this to our CPD strategy development group. Lovely that you've got a CPD strategy development group and consider this term. I love that. That industry upskilling, absolutely. More opportunities, set up more opportunities to talk about dual professionalism at all level with our organisation. That could be your first action. Just look at where it's visible. Where else could we talk about it? Mini online CPD session in our team time with staff who also work in industry and outside industry expert. Yeah, get some of your employees to come in. Talk. They come and talk to learners. Just get them to stay for an extra half an hour and talk to your team. To keep talking about the importance of this for all practitioners. Thank you, Christine. Nundi, CPD strategies to upskill. Fabulous. Business, not busy. I like that. Thank you so much. So keep thinking about that. Have a little pledge that you can put somewhere, and this is your tag when you talk about it. This is the pledge for the next few months. Focus on one thing. You know what? The power of focusing on one thing that's going to make a difference. So absolutely great. More time for collaboration between teachers and employers. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much. We are getting to that end, that final reflections, those final questions. Where do you think you're now in terms of your leadership, your own leadership behaviours that support your professionalism? On a 1 to 10, do you feel strong enough to put it actually in the chats? Where are you? 1 to 10? Let's see if some people put it in the chats very quickly. It says 5 minutes. We don't have 5 minutes. Jill will tell me off in a second. when you've got that, oh, I could see some being popped up, some 4, some 8, some 7, 6. As I said, you might be at completely different stages in your leadership career. So great to see. So even, I mean, no one's put a 10. So that next one is possible for everyone. What would it take to make it 1 point higher? Just 1 point higher. What is it that you could do as a leader to really sponsor dual professionalism? And then if you were a 5 or a 6, how are you going to get to a 10 at some point? What could it be? What does it look like? Be ambitious. So that is really a nice way to think about it in terms of a coaching side, that scaling. You know, focus on one thing. That will probably take you 1 point higher. And that means you are progressing in the right direction and you're making a difference and you're embedding it in the culture. So absolutely fabulous. I hope it's been really useful. So what did you learn today? And what's next for you? I know you've done the pledge, so think about this. You have another little QR code here, Jill, I think, for uh, your question, for your feedback. There's a QR code. I think you'd put it in the chats as well, and you as a link.
Yeah, I've just put it in the chat again for people that may have missed
Yeah.
it at the start. So,
And you will also receive it, I think, in the when you get the
email.
slides.
Yeah.
I just wanted to also highlight that when you get the slides, I've also added quite a lot in there in the appendix around some more of the Ofsted side and what's expected and how it relates to actually CPD and dual professionalism. So thank you so much. Thank you for your comments in the chats. Thank you. Work alongside with seniors, getting more involved in mentoring. Great. Thank you, Andrea. Really enjoyed this session too. I enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it too. Amazing session, thought-provoking. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And ripple effect as leaders, go out there. The good news is this is going to be on demand on the website as well very shortly. If you liked it, there was one for practitioners. Again, get them to tap into it and listen to it. There's one for quality experts as well. So you can also, share the links to these and get other people thinking about it if you're not doing that directly. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for your time. And I can't wait to hear the impact that it's having in your organisation. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.